I'm joined by my good friend, the wordsmith and broadcaster extraordinaire, Kel Richards. Kel, we're going to start with beta male, not beta male. We say it in the old way, it's beta male. And it comes to the fore, obviously, because on the weekend there was a focus group reported in the paper, and this was the sledge said by a voter about the Prime Minister. Tony from the ACT says, what does it really mean and where does the description come from?
Well, it is, as you know, Peter, it is the second letter in the Greek alphabet. Alpha is first, beta is second. And back in 1938, the zoologist coined the expression alpha male to describe herd behaviour, because in any herd of animals, there's always one male who is dominant, who provides leadership, and the rest of the herd follows. And they labelled that animal the beta male, the alpha male. And alpha male then was transferred to human beings. Anyone who's a leader is an alpha male. Beta male came along much later, only in the 21st century, to mean someone who's not a leader. It doesn't have leadership, doesn't have followers, then it's a beta male, which is what those people meant on the weekend. Interestingly, I've got a theory that this is an Australian coinage. The earliest citation any of the dictionaries seem to have for beta male is from 2022. But I was searching through Trove and the Australian newspapers, and there was beta male in 2002 in an Australian newspaper. So I think this is ours. Aussies have done it again. We've coined another excellent expression.
I just wish we didn't have a Prime Minister who so adequately fits the bill of a beta male, but there we are. The Oxford word of the year was Riz. Now, this continues the tradition of a Macquarie word and an Oxford word, all these words from dictionaries around the world that most of us don't use. What on earth is Riz?
Not just most of us, most grown-ups don't say this word. The word Riz is an abbreviation of charisma. So to go back, the source word charisma comes straight out of Greek. Charisma exists in Greek. In the New Testament, it means God's grace, favour, generosity towards his people. And then early in the 20th century, charisma started to be applied to human beings. So someone who had a bit of a sparkle, who attracted and enthused followers, could be said to have charisma. Elvis on stage might have charisma. John F. Kennedy had political charisma. But it's a three-syllable word. And Gen Z gave up on using three-syllable words some time ago. So they had to boil it down to Riz, which is not only a one-syllable word, it's an absurd reduction of charisma. Now, why Oxford chose this, I don't know. I mean, why on earth did they choose this odd word which no grown-ups use and make it their word of the year? I'm sorry, they go in the naughty corner alongside the Macquarie Dictionary. They're a lovely dictionary, the Oxford, but they didn't get this right.
One of our viewers, Fotini, wants to know where the expression comes, and we'll be doing it a lot going into Christmas at all the parties we go to. Chin chin, you know, when you go to toast, before you take a drink, chin chin or cheers. Where's chin chin come from?
Oh, it's an old Chinese expression, and it's simply a very anglicised version of the Chinese word. So it was used as a greeting in China. I gather, I am told, I've never seen it done, that it involves putting your hands together and I think shaking them a bit while saying chin chin as a respectful way of greeting someone, borrowed into English in the 1600s, and then over time just gradually evolved to become the kind of greeting that you use when you're having a drink. So a bit of Chinese in the English language, very useful too at Christmas parties.
All right, well, I've never seen a Chinese, they throw down their drinks, their Mai Tai, whatever it is, pretty fast. So anyway, Storm in a Teacup, Kim and Greg want to know, where does this expression come from?
Well, it's obviously a jocular expression meaning a disturbance in a small space. Apparently, it comes from a line in Cicero. It comes from a bit of Latin. Cicero has got it turns up in English in the 1500s, and what the linguists think is it was borrowed out of a line in Cicero where he talks about a simple place becoming a storm or something along those lines, and it's a very, I was going to say a translation of Cicero, that's unfair. It's a very rough sort of summary of what Cicero was saying. And in English, it came in as a storm in a teacup back in the 1500s. So there you are, a bit of Latin. We've had a bit of Greek, a bit of Chinese, a bit of Latin tonight.
Well, here's another one that comes up around Christmas time, certainly New Year's Eve. Ray wants to know the expression cut a rug. Where does that one come from?
from America, from the Jazz Age, from the 1920s and 30s, and all it meant was the fear that people would be dancing so vigorously they would make marks in the carpet. Now, when I looked it up and discovered that was the origin, what really baffled me is, why is anyone dancing on carpet? I just think that's quite bizarre, but maybe they did in the 20s and 30s.
I think it was a rug and they rolled it up and then they were on the wooden floor in those days. Wall-to-wall carpets, they weren't in vogue then. Last one, Prue, knee high to a grasshopper. Where's that one come from?
Another nice little jocular expression just to say someone is short. And it is, as it looks, American. And you would have thought they would have coined this in, the 20th century. The interesting thing is how old it is. First recorded 1724. So a very old expression. So the Americans were coining odd expressions like this as long ago as the 1700s.
I said to my team this morning, I want a good go with Kel. You got some terrific words, so we managed to get that in. Thanks, Kel. It's been terrific having you on the show all year.